Elephant in the Pew.
How did we meet? Well, it was a New Testament class at Indiana Wesleyan University. Sat down in front of the class, then goes in the front row, because kids who sit in the front row get better grades. Remember that?
Because, unfortunately, I think I was late to that class. But shortly after that, I realized that sitting in the front row does give you better grades.
And there was a guy sitting next to me, and I said, "Hey, my name's Ryan." He said, "My name's Steven." Through some conversation, we figured out we're both from the Kokomo area, and he liked writing. He was writing a fantasy novel or something like that. So right away we clicked and started talking.
I think it was my freshman year. It was a freshman or sophomore year because I was taking New Testament. So that's where we met, was in New Testament.
The PBN. Well, you have to go back to a show called the ADD Catastrophe. And we're back. Steven messaged me one day.
So I contacted a bunch of friends and asked them if they wanted to do a YouTube show. And in that, like, most of everybody was kind of like, yeah, that would be kind of fun, and they were kind of nonchalant about it. And Ryan texted me back immediately and said,
as long as we didn't talk about annoying issues, actually, it was probably more like, as long as we didn't talk about like hot button issues, that'd be fine.
He was the first person that I'd ever tried to do a project like this that actually said, if we're going to do it, let's do it. Let's not talk about it.
And so we ended up doing a TV YouTube show, or a movie YouTube show, that was pretty inconsequential as far as stuff we talked about. I mean, I think the most people we offended were people who were upset about 70 millimeter film versus digital. So
from the ADD Catastrophe, we went 25 episodes, and we were kind of in a crisis there, where we're like, we weren't getting as many views unless people like hated us over something that we had said. So we were like, all right, let's see what we can do elsewhere.
We weren't really using our time effectively, because we're both busy guys, and we weren't using our time effectively. So being both Christians, and we spent a lot of our time talking about theology when we're off camera, we started kicking around, okay, what if you want to do a podcast or a YouTube show, you're supposed to really be something that you're already like studying, or you're already doing with your normal job, and something you're passionate about. So being a pastor, theology and church stuff I'm already studying, and I'm passionate about it. And Steven doesn't do that for his job, but he's very passionate about it, and he grew up doing that. So I had this idea right before I went to bed. I was thinking,
and Ryan one night texted me and said, hey, why don't we do like a podcast or a talk show, just audio, because that's what we were good at. The video was getting a little cumbersome with our time schedules and everything.
And why don't we do a talk show, except not on YouTube, do like a audio talk show.
And I was like, okay, let's do like a podcast.
And so I told Steven, and Steven got excited about the idea.
And then he brought up the idea of doing something that we were both passionate about, which was the church and Christianity. And we're like, all right, let's do this.
And he jumped on it. And through a few meetings, we discussed the name Elephant in the Pew. We had some other ones that kind of came up, but Elephant in the Pew really stood out.
So after a couple weeks of prepping and finding the name Elephant in the Pew, we got the equipment that we needed and started.
We decided to do a show that talked about the church, Christianity, and life as a Christian. So that was Elephant in the Pew, and how it began, and its very humble beginnings.
That's where it began. We do this because we want to be a voice to people who might be thinking the same things that we're thinking, but that they're not alone.
I feel like there are so many people in church on Sunday morning who are hurting, but because of our social construct that we've created, we just say, hey, everything's great, everything's good, and we sit there, and then we go home.
there are topics that the church does not bring up, and I don't know if it's intentional or unintentional.
So they might be struggling with the divorce issue or homosexuality issue or money in the church or any of those, and we don't talk about them because it's it's a faux pas. It's a culture faux pas to talk about them. And so
I've not heard even brought up by a pastor or even like a Sunday school teacher or just a leader in the church. And that's why we do this. We do this so that the other people can hear our thoughts and say, hey, I've been thinking about that too. Why aren't we talking about it?
We don't. Well, that's why we do this show, is because I want people to have an outlet, people in the church to have an outlet to hear people talk about these issues. And sometimes we have pastors on the show or other people who've just been Christians involved in church for a long time. And then they can sit there and say, hey, there are other people out there who think about these issues. There are other people out there who struggle with this, and I want to talk to about it. And
I think one of the taglines that we came up with at the very beginning of the show was, we discuss the topics that everybody wants to talk about, but nobody wants to discuss.
Hopefully, the hope is that this show would encourage one person that would take it back to their church, encourage a group of people that would encourage a church, that could encourage a denomination, or encourage a city, a town, a county, a state, and hopefully it could be the spark that would start a fire.
Well, where I see the show, my dream would be...
The dream is that we would get like a 4-hour morning show 5 days a week on some radio station, Christian radio station.
To be syndicated, either podcast picked up by a huge corporation that sends it out and gives us, money to do 2 to 4 hours, or maybe even a radio show where we could do a morning talk show or a late night talk show where we're just
able to talk about these issues and along with going on the news and all that stuff to entertain people.
The two guys with guests talking about these issues that the church really should start addressing.
As far as where we're going to keep doing what God's called us to do, which is share the gospel live on the air with people and give them the hope that they need, that they aren't alone, that there are people, brothers and sisters in Christ out there who are struggling with the same issues, who are wanting to talk about the same issues and wanting to address those issues.
I'm Stephen Witten.
And I'm Ryan Ramsey from Elephant in the Pew.
You can find us on elephantpew.com, Spreaker.com, Stitcher, Blueberry. Where else would you find us?
iTunes.
Oh yeah, iTunes. He's a big push on iTunes.
iTunes. Go to iTunes. Figure it out. Thanks so much for watching this show today, this little about us. If you have any questions, feel free to email us, either Ryan or Steven at elephantpew.com. And if you're interested in sponsoring this ministry, go ahead and get in touch with us at support@elephantpew.com. So thank you so much for your time. It's been awesome growing with you guys this far, and we're looking forward to the years ahead to come. Thanks, and God bless.
The Elephant in the Pew.